is Kristin Selby Gonzalez, and I'm going to be doing a lecture today called How to Create a Sensory-Friendly Environment and Daily Routine. If you just finished watching Module 3, then we really gave you a lot of tools on that particular lecture of what different therapies are out there. If you have not watched Module 1 or Module 2 or Module 3, I highly recommend going back and watching this because this is a 5-module series. Before we get started on how to create a daily routine, I want to kind of give you a background on what is sensory integration. This is the theory and treatment that was originally the work of Jean Ayres. Everything we think, feel, taste, see, and hear involves using our sensory, and it's really how our bodies process information. We've all heard of the 5 senses, see, smell, taste, hear, and touch. And again, this is just how our bodies receive the input and process that, through different ways, right? What I want to talk about today is creating a sensory diet for our children. And I don't necessarily mean food, even though food can be implemented into a sensory diet. What I mean is basically from the minute our child wakes up to the minute our child goes to bed, their diet begins. Often I hear people say, my child's very hyperactive throughout the day, my child's very lethargic throughout the day, my child can't process different things, whether it be a car ride, whether it be a transition, my child can't sleep at night. And these are all things that we can do to really help our children, basically set them up for a great day and a great night. Some of the tools that you can keep on hand would be something like a trampoline, sensory boxes. Sensory box basically is you can use an old shoe box, and you put different things in there. So whether the goal is fine motor, let's say, what I usually do is I try to have a theme of the box, a goal of the box, whether it be fine motor, and something that I can teach. So there's usually 3 aspects to my sensory boxes. So for example, let's say I'm working on, fine motor. Maybe what I do is I want to teach my child how to tie his shoes. So maybe I put an old shoe in there with a shoelace. Then maybe what I do is I take a laminate shoe, and I take a picture of a shoe, I laminate it, put holes in it, and then they can use the shoestring to kind of go through that. Maybe what I do is I want to have a song in there as well so I can teach them something. Maybe I also have other fine motor things in there because maybe I want them to be able to feel things, right? So maybe what I do is, I'm thinking if I'm still using the shoe analogy, maybe I use some gluten-free Jell-O, and I make kind of like the color mud, and I put it in a plastic bag, and that way I can take the shoe and we can stomp in the mud together. I mean, there's just the creativity is endless. But again, these are just all different things you can put in a box. You could do, fidget toys in the box. Let's say you're going to school and, you want your child to be able to have a good ride in a car. Maybe you get little fidget toys, and these are things, the stress balls that are kind of hard to push. Maybe that's a fidget toy. Maybe a piece of string is a fidget toy. Maybe those little things you put at the end of the pencils that are kind of like the pencil toppers. That could be a fidget toy. A slinky could be a fidget toy. Really, there's just the little Nerf balls. Those are fidget toys. Anything a child can fidget with, right? You might have that in the box. You might even have sensory kind of fidgety things where maybe you go to the fabric store and you take, a piece of carpet. So maybe it feels a particular texture. Maybe you take a bare rug and you cut a square out of it. Maybe you take, you go to the hardware store and you get a little square of fake grass. Maybe you get sandpaper, and you put that in there. Maybe you take gloves and you take Velcro. Even the Velcro is a sensory touch, but then you can take those little squares, put Velcro on them, and you can take Velcro it to the glove, and now you have this box where you can put the gloves on and kind of like touch different things and touch the body with different textures. Again, sensory boxes are unlimited. They're just something fun that you can do. Some people don't do themes. I just happen to like to do different themes and have a goal and also a reason of why I'm doing it, whether it be gross motor, fine motor, visual, tactile, whatever that might be. You could do one that even has different smells. I mean, there's like lavender or rose. Maybe you have one that has mint or rose or, peppermint. I mean, they're just like really, again, be as creative as you want. They are not meant to be very expensive, and you can make them at home. You can have a warm bath. That's something that we overlook a lot of times. Aromatherapy, if your child can tolerate that. Dimmer switches, love these. I installed them throughout my entire house because now I can control the lighting and be able to help my son with that particular issue. Quiet music throughout the house. For us, it's really helpful. I love advanced brain technology. They have something called Sound Health, and they have a wonderful selection of classical music. We listen to that in our home all the time. Sensory toys and fidget toys, I talked about that. Balance beams. These are things you could have, literally, you can make them out of 2x4s and that smooth texture. You can also order them from catalogs that actually are created for sensory input. So they have like little bumps, they have little ridges on them. Some of them go in a straight line, some of them go in a circle, and they connect. And again, trying to get that input into the bottom of the feet seems to really help a lot of our kiddos. Yoga balls, again, these are just things you can have at home. When we're looking at a sensory diet, I'm just going to give you an example. This is not something I want you to say, okay, I'm now going to do this exactly the way this is written. Absolutely not. This is just an example of something somebody may have as a sensory diet. So you wake up, maybe the child, you notice the child needs to get more energy out. These are the kids that are running all around, or maybe they're lethargic and we need to kind of wake up their system, right? You can have them jump on a trampoline or a rebounder for 15 minutes, especially if you live where there's snow. You may have to get a little rebounder inside because maybe all season, throughout the year, you might not be able to have a big trampoline outside. They can do a program called the listening program for 15 minutes. We talked about that in the last module. They could do stretches that cross the midline. So you can just stretch by crossing. When I cross over here to my right or cross over here to my left, basically I'm crossing that midline, which is my center. You might have them brush their teeth with a motorized toothbrush. Now, one thing I want to mention with this is that if your child's having seizures, this is probably, or if your child's seizure prone, definitely I would not use a motorized toothbrush because that's known for some to cause seizures. But if your child's not seizure prone or doesn't have seizures, a great way to do oral exercises within the mouth. Drinking through a crazy straw through breakfast, with breakfast or snacks. Great way, because as you're sucking through that crazy straw, you're actually using both sides of your brain as you're sucking through that straw. Have fidget toys to play with on the drive to school. We talked about that. Listen to music in the car. For all the parents, really put down that cell phone and listen to quiet music or whatever music your child likes and explain to your child about the day. Great opportunity we can use to really help set our children up for success and not failure. Many of us don't explain their day, and a lot of our children are in fear because they don't know what's going to happen next. Even if, let's say, the child is going to the doctors and you don't want to tell them they're going to the doctors, I absolutely recommend making a sensory box and a theme box that have a whole bunch of different things about the doctor. You can do the pretend stethoscopes. You can do, if they love Ernie, or Sesame Street, you can get a doll and, make it a little, they always sell like doctor kind of things for those particular characters. You can learn songs about going to the doctor. You can practice at home with the theme boxes. You can, even putting on plastic gloves, like I like the latex-free gloves, putting those on and that's still sensory, letting them feel what that feels like on their skin when the doctor's going to have the gloves on. Maybe even having them feel the mask that the doctor may wear. Just little things like that really do help our children be able to cope with things that maybe they might have been afraid of. Have fidget toys available for the classroom. Huge. A lot of teachers will say, well, no, I don't want to do that. Well, one, if you're a teacher watching this, or if you're a parent watching this, I would say recommend to the teacher, let's try this for 2 weeks. So what, you're asking for 10 days, right? 2 weeks in a classroom is 10 days. for 10 days, let's try this. Let's see if we see any improvement, right? For example, the alert program has a particular tool that they give you, and they talk about pacing lanes, right? So for a child who maybe can't sit still in their seat and they're wiggling, the child is allowed then to go in the back of the classroom, and the teacher will take masking tape and put it in the back, and the child's allowed to pace back and forth for a few moments, or for I guess how long they need, if it's a couple minutes, and then go sit back down. This is a wonderful tool to have, because otherwise this child's fidgeting and perhaps acting up. Child's body was telling him or her that they needed to get up and move. You can do things like you could take a beach ball and blow up not a ton of air in it to where the child can sit on it, and maybe just having that little bit of air kind of going back and forth where they're moving from side to side in their chair gives them enough movement in the body that they need. Perhaps they maybe are chewers, so maybe they can have something that they can chew on, or maybe they're allowed to chew gum in class, or maybe they have something at the top of their pencil that's more appropriate than chewing on their shirt. Again, these are things, and these are tools that, again, we want to set our kids up for success. When they get home from school, instead of having them do their homework right away, go have them jump on the trampoline for 20 minutes. I mean, the one thing I notice about the kids today versus the kids maybe, almost 25 years ago. 25 years ago, even probably a little bit less than that, you would get home from school, and the first thing you would do is you go outside and ride your bike, or you'd go outside and play. And I don't think we do that so much anymore, because I think there's just so many activities today. There's so much homework today. And so what I would recommend is to really get that body moving, so they're not like having to sit in a classroom all day, then come home and instantly have to do their homework, and then you wonder why we're having behavioral problems, right? Let's get the input in that child's body. Again, then you might then do stretches across the midline. Again, you might have music playing in the background softly. Turn the television off. Turn the Game Boys, the whatever those PlayStations are called. All of that stuff, let's turn that off, and let's really have some nice music in the background. Snacks can be another part of the sensory diet. So perhaps they're having oral issues and we want more crunchy foods. But again, I'm a big believer in the gluten-free, casein-free diet and other specialized diets like that. So, have healthy snacks. It's really important to offer them nutritional snacks. If for some reason they don't like crunchy and they want more, soft, you can still do things like pear sauce or applesauce or yogurts if you can find, the casein-free yogurt. Even like making a smoothie for them and having them drink through a crazy straw. I mean, these are all things we can do to help their bodies. And again, explain. Explain what's going to happen next. Also, again, having dimmers in the house. This is part of my sensory diet. Perhaps I start to turn down the dimmers around 4:30 or 5. Right before dinner, I turn down a little bit. After dinner, maybe I turn down a little bit more. And, really getting them prepared to know that nighttime is coming. Maybe give them a warm bath. Maybe I add some Epsom salts to that, or aromatherapy, depending on what the child likes. Then I might do listening program again for 15 minutes. Then I might do more stretches for the child. Then I might do a massage for my son or my daughter. I do that with my son. I really rub his legs, and I rub his head and his feet, really getting his body relaxed. And then, having quiet music in his room while I'm reading his book, and then it's sleep time. Again, this is just an example of a schedule, but just to kind of give you an idea of what that means from the minute they wake up to the minute they go to bed.